Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Traction Thursday here in Fairfield. My name is Alex Taylor, and I will just kick things off. The way those of you who have not been here before, what we typically do is we'll begin with just a quick round of introductions so we know who's in the room to facilitate networking either during, but more likely after today's presentation. It also helps the presenter tailor or customize some of the responses and some of the information to your respective business and business needs. Then after introductions, we do have a guest speaker, and we reserve about the last 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A with that guest speaker. And then the final 5 minutes are reserved just for community announcements, what's going on in the community that would be helpful for other entrepreneurs and other small businesses to know. So that being said, I am the facilitator today. I work for Nubo Co. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to economic development, either through computer science education and programming or through entrepreneurship. And I'm on the entrepreneurship side of the house. And part of my responsibilities is to help build the ecosystem here in Southeast Iowa. And this is just one part of that big pie that I'm trying to digest here. I'm going to turn it over now to Bob.
Okay, folks. Well, glad to have you there on Zoom and glad everyone here. So I'm Bob Ferguson. I am an organizer of this meeting and a provocateur for the Southeast Iowa Food Web. And I'm delighted to be here and I'm delighted to have everyone here all the time. So,
all right, great.
Frank Chichla, I'm the founder of Deep Green Machine, a makerspace / business incubator that is housed here on the Breadtopia or Fairfield Food Collective campus.
Right.
Yes, sir. Eric Rush with Breadtopia, with Galen and Denise.
Oh, yeah, this is like a family affair back here in the corner.
Founder of Breadtopia. Baker extraordinaire.
Baker extraordinaire.
Yeah, we're just so.
All right. Denise and Galen.
And then there involves the Fairfield, the collective Iowa.
The collective and the bakehouse and everything else.
And then these great ideas that you've got that you haven't publicized yet.
I've been working on, how to break down glucose, and once we get that, we'll figure it out.
That sounds great.
He's a mad scientist in the lab.
I think you're sitting next to a chemist.
I feel like I need
I
to
know,
have,
but I can't get her to take 2 seconds to do. She's so
Right.
busy.
I feel like I need to have different speeches every week,
Yeah.
but and because I think everybody heard this last time, so I'll do it real quick.
We forgot. It's okay.
You forgot, okay. I back in the day, I wrote Fairfield Facebook marketing all-in-one for dummies, and I also wrote social media marketing e-learning kit for dummies, and that makes me 2 times a dummy. And then I built a online school where I taught people to be social media managers, and in 2020 I sold that. And now I work with some high-level clients and do all of their content marketing, email marketing, everything marketing. And then I also have some local projects that I'm working on that are very secret, hush hush, but that's why I'm here.
There you go.
All right, thanks.
Jocelyn Ingman, I own Pickle Creek Herbs.
Great.
And I'm Kelly Prickett. I'm with Indian Hills Community College. The 2 hats, long title, but basically the 2 hats I wear is I run the incubator on North Campus. And also I'm the regional SBDC, which is Small Business Development Center, which is free business counseling to anyone from startup all the way to I want to sell my business. So, and everything in between.
Very
My name's Jai Purdy. I'm one of the partners of Blue Rose Ballroom and Bistro, focusing on the executive chef level of things.
Jeff Topol, I work at John Deere in precision agriculture, and running a farm, practicing regenerative agriculture.
awesome.
My name is Stephen Cardinal. I'm the creative director with the Blue Rose Project.
I like it.
Great. I'm Tammy Deliver. I'm actually a returning community member. I spent a lot of time in a corporate world, but now I want to get plugged back in and be more civic active. I have an MBA from MUM when it was MUM. So yeah, I'm looking at a lot of different projects. I'm interested in small housing, community development, sustainability projects, energy, food. I have a lot of different skills. So I'm just plugging in, and I kind of have my own projects too, like writing stuff and yada yada.
You came to the right place.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Stuart Valentine. So for profit, I run an investment management firm, Centered Wealth. And on the nonprofit side, I chair the Sustainable Living Coalition and then a board member for the Sustainable Iowa Land Trust.
That's great.
Mindy McAdams, I'm the Executive Director of Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce. Because of this meeting last week, my husband and I are launching an LLC to sell locally sourced bitters.
There you go.
Oh,
I like it. All right, and on the phone, real quickly, or on chat, we'll start with Ray. If you could quickly introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Ray Venz. I'm the community manager here at the Bell Center.
In Mount Pleasant, and then Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue Sorensen, and I am the executive director at the Bell Center, which is we're calling it a community resource ecosystem, business incubator, entrepreneurial center, you name it, that's what we are.
It's sort of the sibling organization to this organization.
And I think we have Gil Gillespie.
Gil is on. Gil?
Gil's on. Have to shout out. Gil, can you come on? There you go. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Gil Gillespie. I have the privilege of working with Bob on the Food and Farm Business Priority Group of the Iowa Food System Plan.
That's great. And is there anybody else online that we forgot? I think there's at least one other person.
I think that's Fred the Firefly, AI guy.
Okay, all right. Well, today we're very fortunate to have the new the Director of Economic Development for Fairfield. I'm sure I got the title wrong, but it's a man who probably doesn't need an introduction to everybody here in Fairfield. But without any further ado, let's just welcome Ed Malloy.
Thanks, Alex. Great to see everybody. As I mentioned earlier, I know that there are a lot of community partners in the room, so it's a little bit of what I'm going to talk to you about today are services that you already offer. So we'll fill in what I miss. But former mayor of Fairfield, and in that role, I served as an ex officio member of the board of directors for the Fairfield Economic Development Association. They went through a rebranding a few years ago. The organization is now known as Grow Fairfield Economic Development Association. And it was a great opportunity for me personally to kind of jump back in and get involved with the ecosystem that was described a little bit earlier, because it's extraordinary. It's singularly unique in a rural setting. And this element of it that has begun with the Traction Thursdays is the next chapter. It is really exciting to be a part of this. I've been to several meetings thus far, and the seeds of some of our next generation entrepreneurs are here in this room, and they're getting the kind of attention and help that they need to make this work for themselves. In 1989, when I was a young businessman and involved in several different businesses, recognized that we need to really take community responsibility for the growth of our local businesses. And we formed the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association, and it was a mentoring organization, educational, did a lot of important things for businesses to hopefully get them past that point where they are either going to succeed or fail based on the next moves that they make, whether it be in second stage funding or in management, training, whatever it was. This was an organization that's intention was to really structure that in a way that those services were there. And we utilized the services in the state of Iowa, SBDC, over many, many years. We've had a long relationship with them. But entrepreneurship goes back to the late 1800s. Fairfield founded in 1839, and then basically as it grew, some of the first entrepreneurs in this community, which we went back and celebrated from our Entrepreneurs Association. We would have an Entrepreneur of the Year award every year, and someone entered into the Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame. This building doesn't go back to the turn of the century, I don't believe, but it was one of the early successful businesses in the community, Harper Brushworks. I believe it was 1898 when it started. The Loudon Company started sometime in the 1880s as well. And those buildings have been repurposed to meet the needs of the new next generation of entrepreneurs. You'll see that first generation of industrial businesses here were all centered around the railroad tracks that ran through the community at the time. That was basically the high technology of its day. And the Fairfield Economic Development Organization came in later on, formed in 1978, and took on the responsibility of land development to make room for the next generation of manufacturing businesses in Fairfield. So the organization, primarily, I'd say for the first couple of decades, was involved with that, with land development. Moved into housing development also. The industrial park, as I mentioned, both the one on the western edge of town and the newer land that's on the southern part of town, 227th Street by the American Inn, and Highway 1, new development there. And we will continue to probably play that role, but we also recognize that housing over the years was critical to our sustained economic growth. So we developed residential areas for the Park Place subdivision, Southgate condominiums, Carrington Point apartments, and a number of other commercial buildings, which I just researched the valuation of over the last 3 decades, and they represent over $75 million in capital valuation to our community. So that is really the essence of why this organization exists. It's a nonprofit, but we're here to facilitate and help to expand the community in that way that will bring that value to the city of Fairfield. Outside of that, we are involved with just about everything else we can be involved with in terms of assisting entrepreneurs, businesses expand, retain their workforce, and grow. We want to be a good partner. We don't have all of the resources in-house to be a financial partner, but we have the relationships with all of the organizations throughout the state, throughout the region, to help introduce you to them. It's much more easily accomplished these days. Just come to a Thursday meeting because we have everyone here. The director for the Iowa Economic Development Authority, Deb Durham, where'd you go? Who is, I believe, Alex's boss in a sense. Indirectly, right?
She's my sugar daddy.
She's your sugar daddy. She's got her ears to what you're doing here. She's a big fan of Fairfield and Southeast Iowa. She's going to be down here sometime in April to spend a few hours, so we'll introduce her to what is going on here as well. But that's one of the values of the reputation of our community and the extraordinary economic activity and creativity of this community as well. Always reinventing itself in terms of new business, always on the cutting edge of trends. So we really, are always excited and appreciate that, but want to keep up with that as well. And we do it collaboratively. We do it with basically vision, collaboration, and partnership. That's pretty much our theme. We've been involved as a mayor, I believe, very much in the strategic planning process. We've done a number of long-range strategic planning initiatives. We're going to get started on some new ones as well through our organization. But these are the blueprints for where we're going. This is where the ideas converge. They get refined into goals and objectives, and we march on and we move on. And when we can prove to ourselves that we can accomplish big goals and big visions or small goals, that's basically reinforces our own kind of belief in ourselves. And also it creates an environment. It creates again, the phrase, the term ecosystem, but what it does is and environment. This is, entrepreneurship is a risk-based environment. And risk can be a scary thing unless you feel you've got support, nourishment, and partners around, or you're simply observing somebody else making the same strides and steps that you are in terms of success. So you see that, and that supports your own belief in yourself and what you can accomplish and what you can do. And generation after generation, that's something that continues to grow within our community. We've been involved in housing studies, economic development plans, strategic plans, city comprehensive plan, sustainability plans, and will continue to take whatever leadership we can in that area. We've also most recently, along with Mendy and with the city of Fairfield and with the Tourism Bureau, have made a kind of a pact to really focus on our downtown as well. Because we essentially, that downtown is a reflection of how healthy we are in all of those areas that I've just described. And right now the pulse has been taken, and we're not quite at peak health at this point, and we want to do a little bit more. It really, Fairfield has a reputation. People love to visit here. They have a great experience when they do. That's why when we did our branding a number of years ago, we came up with Tune Into Our Vibe, because that's what people were telling us. There's a vibe here. There's something, there's something that they can't quite put their finger on. But we want to be sure that we're living up to that in a way. And we want to strengthen that. So our partnership, we have great hope for in terms of, turning that around. But it's a very important area to us. And all of our business creators and all of our businesses are a part of that also. We want you all to think that way and to feel that way and to support us in everything that we do to, create a more vibrant downtown. We've, one of the things that has also reinforced this great transformation we've been going through has been the celebration aspect of our community. We know how to party, and we know how to have a good time. We know how to celebrate just about everything. So we, when we do that, we use our downtown for that, and we want to continue to create those creative and artistic celebrations in our downtown. So that will be a big focus for us. Some of the organizations that we work with, and I'm going to skip through these pretty quickly because you've heard presentations about a lot of them, but just to kind of go over them. But there's an organization, statewide organization called the Iowa Area Development Group, and they're associated with the Rural Electric Cooperatives, and they do economic development programs in the areas that they serve. So the areas that the Rural Electric Cooperative serves, they are generally there, and they have some great programs. They have some low interest loans. They have 0 interest loans on some of their programs for land development, economic development in those areas. They have a rural economic development loan program. They have a rural economic development grant, which is something that it's grant money that is matched by a community up to 20. Well, actually, the community's portion of it is 20%, a minimum of 20%, but they will basically fund 80% of a revolving loan fund. So if you're willing to match, and as a community, a revolving loan fund, and to manage that, then they would make that kind of a contribution to that fund, and then you're responsible for loaning that money out within your own community. They also have the Iowa Area Development Group Energy Bank. So they will do low interest loans to clean energy projects and things like that. They also have access to new markets tax credits. Those are federal tax credits, but they're 39% federal tax credits for investors in programs. I don't know much about that program. I've never been a part of an application or seen it used, but I know that they can be very valuable as well. let's see, and then, of course, the Iowa Economic Development Authority, which is the big umbrella economic development organization for the state of Iowa. Many, many different grant programs that support businesses and communities for specialized areas and projects. It's, you know, it's basically great to just go on their site. They have a state resource center for business where they list all of their programs. And then, of course, in the room with us here today is Kelly with the SBDC and all of the great programs that they can offer to communities. And they, you know, this is the one organization that I know Fairfield has utilized quite a lot over the decades, because they will get involved with a business and entrepreneur at a very early stage with business plan development. This is where you're telling your story. This is where you're checking your numbers. This is where you're basically putting together the credible document that someone is potentially going to fund for your business. So that's a great resource. The Area 15 Regional Planning Council, which is headquartered in Ottumwa. This serves about a 9 or 10 county area in southeast Iowa. They have a program called the Regional Economic Development Investment Fund. So they will make, and right now that fund has about $600,000 in it, and they will invest in businesses that are expanding. They'll invest in new businesses also. That's usually tied to job creation, and it also may be tied to kind of income levels. But it is generally an easy approval if you've got the kind of business that is growing. And it's low interest loans. I think they're around 3% right now. So this is one that a lot of Iowa companies have used. I don't know if you guys have ever used it for expansion or no debt. Don't want any debt. Get it. That's what's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Another organization out of the Area 15 is called Iowa South. I'm on this board. I discovered I was on the board after I took the job. Said, what is this? Literally got my meeting notice the day of the meeting. So, but anyway, it's a great organization. It's a marketing group for Southeast Iowa economic development. And so just getting involved with them, but this is a group that will market our communities, market our business opportunities, market our area for growth and expansion.
And a little bit on that one, just because
Yes,
it started
please.
out at my office, actually.
Oh, cool.
And so I had to get rid of it. That was my first job. But when you're looking at Iowa economic development, because they don't like to fund towns anymore, they like to fund regions. So this is
okay.
why they formed, is so we're a region. So that's why it looks the Indian Hills, because we're the ones who kind of said we're here. And it started there, and that's why the economic development, so then it moved from us to, and it matches the intercom, the one that he was talking about earlier, matches their region. So that's why they took it over, because we said we can help start it, but we can't help sustain it because we're not in economic development.
Right.
And so then that's why they are, but it goes to the state level. And so the state markets our area outside of the state
Okay.
for people to come in. And so that's why the whole purpose of the marketing and getting jobs here and the
Yeah.
website and all that.
So
That's
how do we match, Alex, how do we match the promotional muscle that this organization has with what you're doing, with what we're doing here?
It's conversations. Start
Yeah,
with the
it's okay.
conversation.
So let's do that. Let's at our next meeting, let's introduce it to this group and this organization. They have some marketing dollars too, so we need to market what we're doing more broadly. We could utilize it for that.
In the bit and ready to go.
Yeah, good.
And how far outside the file?
It goes, so when they market just to the Iowa Department of Economic Authority that we talked about, that's our marketing arm for Iowa. So wherever they go to their markets. So there's international markets, they go to different markets.
Yeah.
And so what we just said is they always market the corridor projects, the Iowa City corridor, the Des Moines corridor. And we're like, wait a minute, what about us rural? And they're like, well, we can't choose one town. So that's whole purpose of the whole region started. And then as it grew, and then, so the website was really to attract people out, not from Des Moines to move to our area, but really outside the area to move to our area and say, we have the quality of life, we have the quality jobs, we have this, come here, come start your business here, come there. And if you go to Iowa South website, it will talk about those cool stories of people who live elsewhere who are coming here. And I know they're always looking, well, when I had to manage the website, I was always looking for websites. I don't know who's managing the website now. I don't know who's doing that. But I know they were always looking for stories, and there's some really cool stories up there on all of the regions. So, yeah, and Josh was very good about making sure getting some of the stories from Fairfield area. So I know he was very, very good about helping getting that started, because that started about, I want to say about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's a fairly new marketing, and it's just so we can market as a region. When grants and that are always available, they're not available to towns, they're available to regions. So that's why it was started, so we can put our hat in on some of those things to bring to our area.
Cool, great. The other thing I'll mention is the Grow Fairfield Economic Development Association was involved in the founding of the CoLab. Originally on the north side of the downtown square, now on the east side of the square in the former Iowa State Bank building. So our offices are in that building, and then the rest of the space is a co-working space, very successful, great planning that group has right now. It's so kind of powerful to see that space, housing people who are either incubating businesses or working remotely to large companies outside of here, but are here for the cost of living and the quality of life, and we prove the model. So our marketing going forward is going to include that and the success of that, because just having that kind of expertise around here is something that's valuable to all of our businesses and to our community in general. We are going to take a really strong focus on housing along with the city. Organization bought, along with the city of Fairfield, a 28-acre piece of ground off of Libertyville Road that borders the Jefferson County Loop Trail. So we call it the Sunrise Trail Development. We'll be working on that. We can probably get 38 to 40 homes in there. We're going to be having a discussion about the size of homes and the design, but we're going to try and keep this to workforce level affordability for these homes. We're going to be working with the city also on infill development on lots, vacant lots that are available in the city, or condemned houses that are demolished and then those lots are available. And I know that there's a lot of interest in small houses and tiny houses. And we're willing to take on the coordination of a development of that also. So we'll be working on that. It really is, again, our organization is kind of a clearinghouse, and we want to be in the conversation, and we want to help everywhere that we can. We want to help shape the vision. We want to take responsibility for different elements of what it is what our community plan is. And I'm, always just very excited to have the kind of partners that we have, like Mindy and like everyone else. So we're really looking forward to that. Quality of life is such an important element and ingredient to retaining our population, growing our population, retaining our businesses. So any investment that we can make in that. And again, we're excited because when you look around and you see some of the new successful businesses that are growing, it's the next generation of entrepreneurs. We want to be a part of their success, encouraging them at every step, helping with resources at every step. And that's why I'm so delighted that this forum exists, and look forward to continuing to participate. So I'll end it there and just ask for any questions. If there's anyone.
Right.
Anything there?
And before we take questions, let's see here. We've got some folks on the screen. Gil is not here. Sheila is here. Well, so I'm going to turn you around, and Sue, if you would just, for the people who are new here, why don't you tell a little bit, just a few minutes about the Bell Center? You're here.
I got you.
Muted.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Okay, So the Bell Center is located in the previous Chadwick Library and Iowa Wesleyan campus. And it's 45,000 square feet. There is 15,000 square feet on the top floor, 15,000 square feet on the middle floor, and 15,000 square feet in the basement. Our concept, of course, is like I said before, a business incubator or a co-work space for entrepreneurs, new businesses, existing businesses who in turn can help entrepreneurs get their business started. We're in the process of getting our rezoning and a variance so that we can kind of continue our efforts. We're also going to be doing some programming. We're working with Kelly and Atumwa to start a pitch competition and some entrepreneurial days and some other programming. Specifically, we're trying to have resources and support available for underrepresented individuals in rural Southeast Iowa. That's sort of our focus, whether that is a minority, a female, whoever has never had the opportunity to get the resources and support that they feel that they need in order to start a business or even look at a possible career change. Does that sound okay?
All right, Sue, thank you very much. And we'll turn the box around and turn it over to Ed for any questions or comments.
So I got a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
This is just more for my edification, but maybe helpful to others. What's the unemployment rate right now in Fairfield?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I used to
Okay.
look. Yeah.
Just
What's Iowa's? Is it 3.5?
2 point.
It was in the low 3 for a while, and I think it's around 2.9.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my experience, Jefferson County has always been a few tenths better than the state average.
Okay.
And the city of Fairfield proper has been about 1% lower right now. I mean, we still have workforce issues. We still have more openings than we have people available to fill them. I'm going to suspect it's still in the probably 2.5 to 3 range.
Yeah.
Well, the openings that we have are not 9-to-5 jobs, they're shift jobs.
Yep.
And so we have a lot of family people in Fairfield that can't find jobs because there's no 9-to-5 anymore.
Oh.
So that's a big problem in this town right now for a younger generation.
The other question I had, the coattails on that is daycare. How's the childcare services and need here in this community that you're aware of?
Well, you know that we opened a new facility.
Okay. No, I don't.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, so just because Josh was quite involved in that. So that opened 2 years ago, I think. The Cambridge Investment Resources was a big player in that. So it's Cambridge Little Achievers, has capacity for 180 children. I think right now it's 155.
Okay. Still surrendering. That's good.
Yeah, it's a first class. It's another one of those Fairfield things. There's no other facility like this in a community of 10,000 in the state. Yes.
And how is Grow Fairfield funded?
We're funded by memberships. We're funded by a grant from the county and a grant from the city, pretty much.
Membership from area businesses?
Membership from area businesses, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Similar to a chamber. but-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are most FEDA members also chamber members? Or do they segregate?
We've talked about that. Yes, there definitely are some crossover. I think traditionally there've been more chamber members. The organization went to a membership model about 15 years ago. After they had actually split from the Chamber of Commerce, where they were essentially sharing an executive director and sharing resources.
Okay.
It was one of the early economic development plans that we did through the city, which basically determined that we would be better served by having separate organizations with full-time executives in each area, with different areas of responsibility. So that was that's when it became a membership organization.
Okay.
At that point.
Follow-on question. I noticed in your summary, I still just don't really understand, where does Pathfinder's RC&D fit into all this community support, economic development for Fairfield, or is it completely separate from that?
You know, we've always used them as a grant writing resource, primarily. And they have I think a good breadth of what they can help with in terms of grant writing. So that's primarily how we've used them. I don't know that there was really anything else that they have as a resource that we can use specifically for economic development.
Are they funded through State Economic Development Agency, or how do they get funded?
I'm not sure.
Partially USDA.
USDA, that's right.
And partially, private, so her grant fund writing, she can do for some nonprofits, but some of it she does for it's an income generator, but a lot of, depending upon what department you're looking at underneath Pathfinders, a lot of it has to do with USDA.
Okay.
And then the USDA, and then that's where a lot of the grant writing, and so sometimes she can't help communities. Like, for example, they helped with Main Street in Bloomfield because they didn't have a Main Street director. Main Street's another economic development program that exists out there. And so Bloomfield and they have to have an executive director as, it's part of your contract with Main Street. So they were the contract holder for Bloomfield until they could get their stuff together to hire an executive director. So they had it, so they do different things that they can get other revenues in.
Well,
Does that make sense?
I would imagine.
And they also have a bigger footprint than Fairfield. They also have a regional.
Yeah, and USDA rural economic development, anything that might seem relevant to us here in Fairfield could go through a Pathfinders grant channel.
Correct.
And I would imagine small business and or food systems or whatever, things that we kind of talked about in the Southeast Iowa Food Web, certainly seems that it would be a path back to rural economic development under USDA grant.
And then the USDA or Pathfinders is also, they're the contract holder for the workforce board with Iowa Workforce, which is a completely another different department. And so they actually are the fiscal holder for the Iowa Workforce Board, which adds a whole nother element into workforce elements and different things like that. And that's a whole separate board.
Yeah.
It's a whole, that made me go into the economic development world. And so I am so surprised that you have a good grasp of everything going on, because when you talk Iowa, I mean, there's so many moving parts and players, and well, this is funded here, but this one's funded over here, and this one's funded over here. It's all different players, all different departments within the state and then you have the cities is different than the counties, which is different than the regions, which is different than,
Okay, so I have an idea. Now that Ed's here and everyone else is here. What if we did this? There is a dizzying array of different opportunities, and I was looking around the room as you were saying, Ed, and people were going, really?
Didn't know that.
You know, I mean, people I think would have maybe have been aware of that. So maybe they're just being very polite and going, oh, yes. So what if we did this? What if we got a small group of us together and we actually did a comprehensive mapping?
Thank you. That's exactly.
Of all of the, Tammy, you're new, you want the project? Here you go. Here it is. Yeah, you always pick
no, it's a great idea.
I always pick up a new girl, right? But why don't we do that? I mean, I think that would be something, so if anyone's interested in, well, if anyone's interested in that idea, just let me know and I'll help convene a group.
I'm
to
gonna
work
throw
on it.
another little thing out there that has been done. So currently, the state, the governor said, there's all these departments and everybody's funding different people and nobody knows which. So they just got done doing a comprehensive study of all the state departments and all the things they're doing. Hence the reason why the workforce board moved from IEDA to Iowa Works. And then there's some other grants that were underneath the education, and that moved up to Iowa Works. So there's all these programs that they just got done doing a comprehensive study for the department stuff. And I don't have access. I have no idea. I don't know who it went to, what's released, what's not, but that might be something to just even start. That's
that report.
I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know where they're at in the process.
Yeah, and I think they're doing, and there's been a changing environment for the last 5 or 6
Yeah.
years, a lot. So you really do have to kind of keep up with them annually to see. But I think once you get some general familiarity with them, you can counsel better. You can tell people, no, that's not for you. This is the program, or this is the area that would work best for you.
Thinking about the entrepreneurial focus of Traction Thursday, you know, what you brought up about the role that FEDA and now Grow Fairfield played in creating the co-lab. To me, that is, if we can think, you know, collectively how to activate that in service of this entrepreneurial support network that we're conceiving of. I mean, you're already there, so you get proximity to see how it's acting out.
Yeah, they don't have that much room for growth, so it's probably
Well,
kind of the
program-
next, it's
program-
programming, yes,
yeah.
for sure,
You know,
for sure.
the, you know, these, in fact, this kind of meeting or, you know, subsets of it would be anchored through the collab. The collab become a community partner in the entrepreneurial development track.
Good, yeah, I think their board would love to hear that pitch and see
Well,
what
I
they could
think we
do.
should
Yeah.
have, one of the things I think we need to do is have a meeting with the collab board.
Yeah,
And see how we can cross-pollinate and support their efforts.
yeah,
Can I pivot just
Sure.
a moment and focus on downtown? for
Sure.
just a moment?
yeah.
There are people in this room who've lived here for many decades.
Yes.
And we've seen the downtown go through a major transformation. I left Fairfield in 2004 because it was so bad looking that it was just hurting me so much. And
Yeah.
so when I came back, we had new lights, we had new gardens, we had all these beautiful things. And I was like, this is great, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
But I think that we really need to do another layer of that.
See?
I mean, just something very concrete to tell you.
No, yeah, we went through an exercise early where we just kind of mapped it out. We realized that, I think part of our problem is we haven't had kind of ongoing management of it. So we did something, 15 years ago, we did the lights and the bricks and the gardens and the visualization, the concept and all of that. We got most of it done.
Yes.
And we had access to money. We put $2.5 million into all of that at that time.
Yeah.
And then it was another 10 years. And then we went basically for a downtown facade restoration grant. So that was $1 million went into that. And we're ready for the next injection, but what we want to follow it up with is something that's going to ensure that we're managing all the time. And we have, and part of it is, and now the city's involved because you mentioned sidewalks, so part of it's policy. We have signs that are out of compliance, we have sidewalks that are out of compliance, we have buildings that are out of compliance, we have all of this stuff. We have a lot, and Terry Baker has brought in some of the top experts in the country in healthy downtowns.
Yes.
We know what they look like. We've got all their information. We've mapped them all out. We've done the strategic plans.
Yes.
We have all of the recommendations. They're not old. We just have to basically put them into play.
Yeah.
So that's what we're planning to do.
So the owners of some of the buildings downtown don't have true retail on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
This has always been a problem in downtown, that they are taken over by service.
Yes.
Things that aren't retail. So is the city or the task force going to be looking at that? Because there are some building owners
Right.
that aren't even willing to sell, and they're like perfect retail spaces. So.
Yeah, so, we've had this conversation, when I was mayor, we had this conversation also about how much we want to put into, our ordinances to really tighten up what it actually want to see.
Yeah.
Pella is one example, and all of that is controlled by law.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, you got to have your paint color approved, you have to have your design approved, everything. Okay, so let alone the signs. I mean, for us, it was like the signs were the basic thing. So we did a sign ordinance, and now nobody comes into City Hall to tell us they're putting up a sign, and then we go, oh, that's out of compliance. That's interesting. So it's, we just have to simply enforce what we have on the books and tighten it up a little bit.
Yes.
But those are the kinds of things that we want to do. So how far the city council wants to go probably needs to hear from their citizens. We want stricter enforcement on our downtown. Building owners are a big part of it because, look, it's a free market. They own the buildings. But we can have, laws that basically say, if it's vacant for a year, this is what you have to do in order to, show that you've done this to market it, those kinds of things. As far as codifying, insurance offices or law officers or things like that on the square, I'm afraid that we lose too much. We would look too empty if we kind of programmed them out. But a percentage, yes, I agree with you, 100%. So maybe 2 per block, something like that. And
There's actually, I used to be a Main Street director,
Oh.
so there's actually, you want some services downtown.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people, beg for those services in downtown because services, businesses create foot traffic all the time.
Great.
And
Yeah.
if you do not have foot traffic in your downtown, you're a dying town if somebody's driving through.
But
Yeah.
if you
And
have
if you
a
have-
business that has one person a month coming in, that's not foot traffic.
Right, but there's studies that's been done that you do want a certain percentage of service businesses in your downtown.
Yeah.
Now, the gray areas was when because I was in Waverly, is where I was Main Street director at. The gray area that you have is the churches.
Right.
Because they're only open a lot of times during the weekends.
Right.
And so then it looks like a dead facade because a lot
Right.
of times they don't decorate their front. So a lot of, it's all visual. It's what you see. It's the benches on the sidewalks. It's if you have 2 storefronts right next to it, you're automatically seen as a dead town. It's even having a fake front, even if there is no business in it. It's what's in the window
Right.
and what is the visual when you go by. If you have a big brick, 2 big brick things with no windows in it, it's gonna feel like it's a dead town. Yeah, and so it's what you see is more important than what it is.
Yeah,
The city determines all of that through ordinance? or
Through
is it
ordinance,
the
so
state?
yeah, a lot of that is determined that way. And one of the things that we've talked about, for instance, we think that there is something on the books right now that, if a business leaves, they have a certain amount of time before their sign has to come down. I mean, there are 6 buildings on Square right now with businesses that haven't been in there for 2 or 3 years and their sign is still up. It's ridiculous. My proposal was, let's use our city street department to go in and take those signs down just to get a better look, because it's not, if you can do all you want nicely in the windows, when you're driving, your eye goes up here and it's all eyesores. It's like, you just gotta get them out.
Waverly, we actually got to the point where we did huge signage regulations. We actually went to the Historical Society and we actually said, you have to live to historical standards. So all the
Right.
damn signs went down, unless it was historical to that building.
Right.
And so we got rid of a lot of the extras, so to speak, like the ones, like we had somebody who had a very extravagant front and we could say you need to stay in this realm. And that, a lot of times when you start talking historic preservation, you start talking colors, you start talking what it can look like. If they have transcendental windows, they can use those. And so even like, it can get that strict, and that's what we did up in Waverly.
That's a
just to
great
get
angle,
rid of the
historic
fronts.
preservation.
Fairfield is very artistic, and we
Yeah.
do have a very artistic community, so I wouldn't want to turn it into a pellet. But I certainly would want to have some, ordinances that are enforced, right? And so that's saying, sorry, I didn't mean to like drag it.
No, quick question and then a final sort of ending question that I want to instill into this. The quick question for you was, given your history and knowledge of this community and the various hats that you have worn, now in economic development, in a room full of entrepreneurs or small business owners, et cetera, what's the world of the possible? Where do you see the entrepreneurial direction going in this community when you have the Maharishi Institute, you've got a great vibrant community? Is it ag tech? Is it ed tech? Is it technology, or is it good old fashioned small business? Where do you, what have you observed over the years that you think, gosh, you've got so much potential to be the best football team in the world?
Yeah.
What is it that gets you your blood boiling?
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever really intentionally focused on a sector. So we don't really have any history with that. Our entrepreneurs are pure. They've got their own ideas. They're incubating all over this community. They pop up and then you notice them. And then, and then there's, more starts to percolate and to happen. I just think that we need to, work with those that have, the best potential and support, the growth that they have. Now, I'd mentioned earlier, we'd like to attract more virtual commuters. We like to attract people who would like to live here, and, enjoy the community and the lower cost of living. But again, that's not a sustainable economic development strategy. And look, we also have, access to technology expertise. That workforce is there for us, and we really haven't tapped that. So I would say that would probably be an area that I've focused on. I had a conversation 1.5 years ago with a congressman that represents the district in California for Palo Alto, the wealthiest district in the country. His name is Ro Khanna, and he has a program where he works with Silicon Valley companies, finds rural places in the country where there is access to workforce that would support them, and helps to bring a subsidiary of that company there. I'm having lunch with one of his folks tomorrow, and I had a conversation with him, told him about our community. He's going to come down here. I mean, I think we could be that bold and just say, we could be a Midwest Tech Center. That would probably be the direction I would go, but definitely don't want to stifle the organic entrepreneurship that's out there right now, and the ideas.
Cool. I hope it pays so much.
Yeah.
Last final question that you want to wrap up is, what can we do to help you be successful in your job?
Okay, yeah. No, I just think that when there's a good community initiative where we're looking for volunteers to, be available for that, and to don't hesitate to steer people towards us if they have a business idea or concept that they would like to kind of talk about and think through. So, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
All right, any community announcements?
This is after hours at First Resources next week, 4 to 6. They're right next to the bowling alley. They do a lot for our community. There are friends with special needs who can come into your business and help you. And that is one of the services that they offer that I hope they will focus on. So
That's great.
that's the big one. And don't forget to nominate your businesses for winners for the awards next year.
All right, excellent. Ed?
I'm on the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center board. Their last 5 shows of the year are all some of the best shows we're going to have this year. Going to be really fun. Look at the lineup. Look at going to one of the tickets. If you haven't been to a Cinema Fairfield movie yet, it's a great experience. The attendance has been fantastic. We're averaging probably about 60 people per show. When was the last time you went into a movie theater with 60 people? What's that? And they have great popcorn as well. And the other thing is, on March 5th, there's an important election to approve and increase a levy for the school district that funds a lot of their infrastructure. And one of the weak points in Fairfield right now is our school enrollment. There are people who are looking at our community and going other places because we don't have the adequate facilities, different things. I think that's an important vote. So I urge you to vote yes on that March 5th.
Okay, great. Kelly, anything from SBDC?
2 things. Well, one is our annual coffee break, 3rd Wednesday. Next month is Instagram. But I really want to talk about, Ed, you talked about collaboration. There is an SSBCI, which is Socially Economic Disadvantage. Ed mentioned that. The Iowa Department of Economic Authority is coming. We have a tentative date of April 16th, but talk to your 2 partners here who you see all the time, both Ed and Mindy, and they will know the details. We know we're going to have it at the Indian Hill Center, which is at the Carnegie Museum. We're in the middle level there. Don't know what time. Tentatively, April 16th might be the next week. We're trying to stay awake because of the annual dinner, but working with these 2 on getting and Alex on getting the correct date. And so you guys know about those state programs where you talk about Debbie Durham, it's her programs that, so we'll talk more in depth of what those programs are and how you can utilize those as an entrepreneur.
Good. And Denise?
No. This might not be the crowd, but some of you might be interested in, and that is that the Iowa Arts Council is having one of their reach out meetings to various communities here in Fairfield. I believe it's March 19th at the convention center. And they will be there talking about all of the programs that can benefit artistic programs.
Do you have the date for that?
I believe it's March 19th.
March 19th. Okay,
Double check, but
great. Fantastic. All right, that should wrap it up for Fairfield Traction Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today, and network away. Have fun.
Thank you.
Bye.